Well, hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of Legacy Farm on the podcast. This is your host, JC Young, and today's topic and discussion is the gray area. So yesterday, inside of our community boardroom call, one of our members brought on an issue that a lot of family farms deal with around this country. And this specific issue was around establishing some, just what do I want to call it, rules or guidelines into how this individual operates and does business with their family in the operation. So this customer, they have their own operation, and then their father has their operation. And like a lot of families in this country, they kind of mix and match and use each other's resources and everything like that. But there's no clear guidelines on what is going to be paid for that resource and things like that, right? Financially, it's just like, hey, you cover this and I'll cover that and we'll be good, we'll be square. And the member was going through this, and this has been going on for a long time, for years and years and years and years and years. And the problem was, though, is that this member felt that in one way or another, somebody was getting screwed over. And what do I mean by that? Somebody was not getting their fair share of what they should be getting financially when it came to how they were sharing resources, okay? And this member, he wasn't necessarily saying that he was the one not getting the fair share. He said it could be on the other side too. He goes, but what I don't like is I have this massive hole in my operation and just in my integrity as a being, as a human being, not knowing whether or not I'm kind of taking advantage of somebody else, when the reality is I want to square things up. I want to make sure that whatever resource of my parents or whatever that I'm using, I am paying them for that resource, but also vice versa, right? And having clear contracts in place and leases in place or rent agreements or whatever you want to call it in place, so that we are sticking to the numbers and that there's not money getting lost in that gray area. It needs to be black and white. It needs to have clear numbers, clear just rules again around, hey, if I'm using this piece of equipment, this is the amount of money I'm going to pay for it. We need to establish who's responsible for repairs and insurance and all this stuff, right? All this type of stuff. But again, though, a lot of family farm operations around this country, they don't operate that way. It goes back to the whole thing around parents wanting their kids to come back. Parents want their kids to come back and they want to help them out, saying, oh yeah, well, we'll just take care of this. No worries. Well, I'm sorry guys, but that can cause a lot of problems down the road. For example, if you move back to the family farm operation and your parents help you get up and off the ground, right? And they help you get started, and they invest, a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of resources into helping you get started. That's awesome. But as we've seen with several occurrences with members inside a legacy farmer, a decade from now, 2 decades from now, what if things go sideways in your parents' operation? What if all of a sudden they're like saying, hey, we added up how much we gave you back when you first got started, and that equates to $300,000, and we need that money right now? What would you do in that situation? Again, because I'm not talking theoretically here. This happens. This is happening with one of our current members even. So this is the whole reason why we need to not operate in this gray area, and things need to be black and white. It's not just financially, for reasons that we need to be operating in black and white, but just the scenario I just gave you right there. Years from now, you do not want to give anybody the ability to come back on you and hold their thumb over you saying, hey, I did this for you back in 2005. I need repayment and I need it now. So again, you can sit here and tell yourself, oh, that would never happen to me. I hope it doesn't, right? I hope it doesn't. But all the members that are going through this right now inside a legacy farmer with their parents or other family members that are in their operation with, guess what they said? The exact same thing. So we're just going to prepare for what could happen in the future and make sure all of our ducks are in a row. Now, the other side of this though, too, guys, is let's jump back over to finances. There are literally hundreds of thousands of dollars lost in the gray area. And again, with this specific member that I'm talking about, he wasn't sure whether or not he was getting the benefit from operating that way or his parents were getting the benefit from operating that way. Either way, though, he wanted to be operating in integrity and have things lined up. And again, like I said, rules and contracts and everything in place. But for a lot of people that are in this situation, though, they're coming and talking about this with our group and everything because they know that they've been getting taken advantage of. They know that they're the ones that have lost money. They know that they're the ones that have dedicated more resource and assets and time and money into helping out their family member and not gotten properly compensated for that, right? And this is a massive problem. It can cause a lot of problems in your family as well. But again, when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, guys. There's millions of dollars going through these operations on an annual basis. And those gray area expenses, you could easily have 50 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand slipping through your operation, and you don't even notice it, nor do you even try to notice it because mentally you're not focused on it because you're just helping out your dad. or helping out your brother or whatever, right? I'm sorry, guys, but that is a recipe for disaster. You will ruin your family operation, and you are bringing about the possibility of massive resentment across your family. Because like I said, long-term, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, maybe you're the one that's dedicated a lot of resources and time to your brother's operation, and then you get into a financial pinch, and then guess who's coming calling? You're going to go call on him saying, hey, I helped you out. I went through, added up the numbers. I need $100,000, right? So, and you don't want to have those conversations. So just stop it right off the get-go. Stop it right off the bat saying, hey, we're establishing clear lines and rules here, and contracts are going to be in place so that we are operating in a black and white space with the finances, not a gray area, right? There's also the other side of this, which is just the liability across the board too, right? And the liability risk you have in using your brother's equipment or your parents' equipment and not having agreements in place or contracts in place or entities set up. Like there's just a massive amount of liability risk as well here, my friends. And this is just what we've experienced with our members. So I wanted to talk about that today because a lot of you may be in that position. And I'm just going to tell you, you need to get things black and white. Again, it's going to save a lot of financial problems in the future, but also those family problems. You don't want to have a family full of resentment and anger and all that stuff that can happen. And again, like I said, none of this I'm talking about is theoretical. We've seen it happen multiple times with our members inside of Legacy Farmer, and I don't want it to happen to anybody else. So my friends, I hope you found this episode valuable today. I hope you take action because of it, and we will catch you on next week's episode.
What's up, everyone? My name is Jace Young. I'm the founder of a company called Legacy Farmer, and inside of that company, what we do is we've helped over 300 family farms simplify and streamline the entire financial side of their operation and help them learn their numbers at a deep level so that they can implement the systems and the processes to make sure that their operation lives on for generations into the future.